Wow, here we are. We think that all the efforts that we would have done, all the things that we would have done, all of the awareness that would have been given, persons still today, in this day and age, in this 21st century, in this age of technology where information is so rampant, we still have violence being perpetrated towards women. Women experience violence on a day-to-day basis. But if you think that is the only way and the only form that violence is exhibited, music, media, the things we listen to, the images that we watch every day as we drive down our Simpson Bay roads and we see the women plastered across the LED screens. I'm saying, what happened to our children? What happens to the minds of our children? Our children are being disrespected. The girls or women are being disrespected. Hence, tonight we have chosen to really shed light on the topic, the influence and the impact that music and media has on violence against women. Tonight, we will try our best to bring awareness in the form of displays of arts, the dance, the poetry, young talented people here on St. Martin. And I'm asking us, as this August gathering, I'm asking you, I'm even asking me, let us pay attention. Let us pay attention to some of the things that will be spoken, dramatized, danced. Let us pay attention to some of these things. It is important that we begin to look at violence through other lenses. Recently, we attended a conference in The Hague, Holland, and one of the things that they continuously kept emphasizing on is the importance of the involvement of men in the whole fight of violence against women. It is important that we bring our guys on board. And I'm so happy tonight that our program does not just consist of women in the room, but I would like to actually big up our guys in the room. We have quite a bit of guys that are joining us tonight. And we also have some guys who will be performing. As a matter of fact, our first performer are guys. So I want to thank you, men. I want to honor you. I want to acknowledge you. I think we need you. We can't do this without you. And I'm sure you look around the room and you see the colors. You see the centerpieces. And I'm sure some of you are wondering, okay, all the years I'm in the fight of the elimination of violence against women, we've seen the color purple being dominated. So why the orange? Why this bright, shining orange? Orange, they say, and we know, and as we can see, orange is a very bright color. Orange is a color that speaks of hope. It speaks of the future. It speaks of a future without violence against women and girls. So hence the color orange. Then you have these beautiful soft white feathers that are dangling in front of your faces and standing so erectly on the centerpiece. Why the feathers? The feathers are a symbol of the accomplishments that we would have attained here on St. Martin in the stride of women's liberation, women's rights, in the fight of the elimination of violence against women. Yes, we have a far way to go, but we have made significant strides over the years. Then we have the mask. The mask. Some of us who are into culture and who are into the carnival, we know that the mask represents Bacchanal. And the mask is often worn, and my cultural people may disagree with me, but oftentimes when there's carnival, you see the mask that is being worn as a means to hide, to conceal, to shade the look of the individual. Well, here, the mask represents the taboo of violence. The mask signifies that, yes, we have made strides, but we have a long way to go. There are many of us who are walking around with masks every day, hidden or hiding the violence, that the hurt and pain that we feel on a continuous basis. That's what the mask represents. Then we have the notes, the musical notes. The musical notes represents lyrics. It represents the music industry. It represents the things that we listen to. So here we have tonight various symbols. They have not just been chosen callously. And I want to thank Mrs. Agnes Brooks for actually coming up with that philosophy and coming up with the theme, the colors, the display, the centerpiece and everything to really match what we wanted to say here this evening. Violence against women, I say, and I would say again, there is no excuse for violence. There is no excuse for violence against women and girls.
I just want to take a few minutes and to speak freely from my heart tonight, because there's so much going on and so much has been said already by the speakers before me, where it pertains to violence against women, and now we add girls. Violence against women is nothing new. But we here tonight, we are not here to talk about violence against women because we are all familiar with somebody who has suffered violence. Some woman, some girl suffered violence, and we are familiar with that. But I'm here tonight to really seek collaboration in a much deeper way. And the MC made mention of a few things, but I will still reiterate because it was my message. Tonight, when I look across the room, I see many, and I don't call you collaborators, but I call you friends. We fight the same fight. We come together occasionally. But we have reached to the point where occasionally and coming together for our own accomplishments is not doing it for the survivors, for the victims. And why I say this is because Elencia mentioned also that we were in The Hague, and we went to the Third World Conference for Shelters. And wherever you go, and every session that you attend, the intention is about collaborating. In St. Martin, I dare say that we have many organizations working on behalf of women. Many organizations are doing their utmost. And yes, as I heard tonight, we have made great strides. However, without the collaboration, one with the other, we cannot combat this fight, violence against women, as we call it tonight. I don't even want to talk about domestic violence. Let's talk about violence against women, because domestic violence is one thing, but we have learned now that it's even outside of the four walls. We just heard so many persons spoke about what they have seen in public places. Violence against women is everybody's business. As a people, we need to come together and put an end to this. I encourage you tonight, as the moderator said, that let tonight not be another evening where we come together, discuss good things, have a good program, and then nothing. And this is not talking down to anybody here, because we are speaking to ourselves also. But I heard Elencia said something Sunday, and it remained with me when we were in Marigot for the radio program, and she said, it is by divine orchestration that Women's Desk is within Community Development, Family and Humanitarian Affairs. And I agree with her, because Women's Desk, as we know it today, and where we are going in 2016 and beyond, it is about a community-based approach. And why I say this, because I believe, and not for Women's Desk, but for St. Martin, that we are on the right track. Different sessions that I attended, because we split up, and we went to different sessions, and I chose to go to those that had to do with community-based affairs. And when I was in the various sessions, I came to the understanding and the realization that St. Martin is on the right track. That we already start with a community-based approach for women's issues by simply using the community help desk. Women's Desk is not one place. We mobilize and we go into the community and we meet people where we have to meet them and at the point of their needs. I therefore say that if we can come together as how it was declared, explained during that conference in The Hague, that collaboration is the only way. And yes, we salute the men in our midst tonight, because without you, we cannot do it. Many years went by where we tried to fight by ourselves, but we have come to the realization and the place where we understand that we need you on board. We need the men on board to help us combat violence against women, because as we saw on some of the slides tonight, the majority of violence, regretfully, is inflicted by men. But I also want to say that the majority of our men are not abusers. We have good men in our midst. We have good men in St. Martin. So the handful of abusers, we need to help them. And that also is a task that we have to embark on. We need to work with these men, because it is not normal and it is not natural that a man would simply inflict abuse, beat a woman, sometimes to the point where you will not recognize her. As the various organizations here tonight represented, I call on you for us to come together. In the same manner we came together for the launching of the various organizations. In the same manner we come together to talk about certain issues. I want us to recommit ourselves tonight that we can, on a structural basis, work together, because our goal is the same goal. It is to assist these women, and it is to support the women that are being afflicted every day. We might have a different approach, our mission might be different, but our goal is the same. We have a shared vision, and we need to come together to accomplish it. Too many organizations, we work separately and we work fragmented. And I say we. And as we work fragmented, our results are fragmented also. If we want to be strong and we want to see a difference, I encourage you tonight, let's make the change today. We're not waiting until tomorrow. Let's make the change and the turnaround, and we, as Women's Desk, being a government entity, we will make the move, and we will invite, and we will start. Because we already started with some of our community councils, and I see representatives here tonight, and I salute you especially, because we need the community councils also to work with us to combat this violence against women. We need to have a community-based approach. We cannot do it alone, and we need the men on our side to help us to combat violence against women.
I've only been in office a week, about, and I was very fortunate. It just so happened that my parents were here on vacation, and so they were here for my swearing in. And that was very special for me because I love my parents very much. They've given me every opportunity in the world. And I always remember something my dad told me when I was a small boy and I was mouthing off to my mother. And he took me aside and very calm. My father's a person who never gets upset. And he said, you know, look, in nature, the babies always suckle their mother on their knees. Don't you ever forget that your mother is everything to you and that you pay her the respect that she's due. And for some reason, that's always stuck with me. So tonight we're talking about the impact of music and media on violence and women. And I think when we talk about media, it's important to understand that media's changed so much in the last 10 to 15 years. It used to be, my daughter was here earlier and decided this would be too boring an event to sit through, but you know, when she went through school and she didn't want to do homework or she wasn't behaving, you know, I always threatened her with, if you don't do it, I'm going to take TV rights away from you. And at a certain point, that leverage vanished, and I'd never really understood why until 2 years later or so. And it turned out that all of her mobile devices were all streaming, they were all on the Wi-Fi, everything was on laptops and cell phones. She really just didn't care about TV anymore. And so I realized that media's changed. Facebook, social media has obviously impacted everything. I don't know if you all noticed, a few months ago, Playboy magazine, it's an adult gentleman's magazine, changed and decided that from now on they will no longer show naked women in their magazines, and they would become more a magazine full of content. And what happened is because they realized that just showing pictures of women in magazines was no longer a business model, and so they had to reinvent themselves. And it just goes to show how quickly and how significantly media is changing. In tourism, for example, TripAdvisor is very powerful online reviews. They've decided they're no longer going to advertise on television anymore. They feel that there's enough business out there on the internet that they're no longer going to advertise on TV. So just to give you an idea that when we speak about the impacts of media, we need to understand that media is so pervasive in our lives now. How do you control it? So media amplifies. Media also, there's great things about media. It gives you access to things like TED Talks, Khan Academy, and online courses. But media also has this other impact of aggregating and in a way condoning certain types of behavior. For example, ISIS. ISIS uses social media, ISIS uses online propaganda to enlist support for their activities. So how do we manage things? And the reality is, I think it's the same way we always did. I remember two things from when I was growing up. There was a television commercial that would come on and say, you know, it's 10 o'clock, and do you know where your children are? And then the other thing was a very interesting study, and it was about the lowest common denominator for students that entered Harvard, one of the top schools in the United States. And contrary to sort of socioeconomic information, contrary to, you know, what kind of neighborhoods you grew up in, those kinds of things, they found that the most common denominator actually was that the families sat together and had dinner most of the nights of the week. And I thought that was very funny. And what it means is that the families who scheduled time to sit together to share what happened during the day, and that they knew where the kids were and what they were doing, was actually the most important ingredient for success. Previously, we had movie ratings. I mean, we still have them. They still determine, you know, PG-13, etc., or R ratings. But now again, with media, the same movie that you couldn't get into tonight, you can download it at home and watch it whenever you want. So what's happened is technology has just changed everything, right? So it's the same principles. It's still actually sitting down. I remember my parents sitting down with me and watching TV, and we would choose what programs we would watch, and we would discuss what shows. But nowadays, with everybody able to stream it on their telephone or on their iPad or on their laptops, it's just become so difficult, but the principle has remained the same. So some recommendations, you know, because, and I have the same with my daughter, you know, she's on her laptop doing homework, but sure enough, her cell phone's there, she's got her WhatsApp going, she's got Facebook open, so her concentration's not there. So what can we do as parents is technologies, perhaps like Cyber Nanny, where you can restrict access to certain sites, put certain hours to when they can actually access it, what type of sites. I had a conversation, actually my daughter, we went to lunch today, and I was talking to her about the discussion that we were going to have. And she showed me some, she played for me some songs that she had downloaded on her phone. Some of the lyrics were incredible. I can't repeat what the lyrics are here. And I said, but Maxime, do you realize that by downloading it, you've silently endorsed it, you're encouraging it, you're giving it the media play, the value for the artists to continue producing these kinds of things. And I said, you're part of the problem, actually, downloading these things. And she said, okay, yeah, Dad, but we'll see if she deletes it. So, in today's age, I guess my recommendation is you have to keep up with technology. In my conversations with the ministry, I'm surprised how cumbersome it is for government to share information. Something as simple as having departments with their own websites where they can share information with the public has become a bureaucratic nightmare for them. You have my commitment as Minister of VSA that I will make sure that in our process of opening government and providing information and best practices for the citizens of St. Martin, that I will do my best to make sure that you can provide the information for the public what to do.
There will come a time in your life you will want me. Maybe for one day, one night, one moment. An empty void will be your heart. I will be unreachable because of your life. And God with the need of me, haunting your very existence. Everywhere you turn, everywhere you look, every woman's face will remind you of what you've done to me. Alone with no one by your side, your heart will bleed for all the foolishness and pride. You will come to realize the damage you have done. The destruction of my heart and soul will be forever remembered with every breath you take, because my pain will become a dull ache you cannot ignore. No more echoes of my melodic laughter or the dance of love in my eyes. The mind is powerful, and with that the memories will invade your thoughts, becoming a wild side but yield to the desire. I'm under your spell. I'm seeping into your pores, taking over your soul. My scent will surround you. The ache of me is all that you'll be thinking about. Again, I can't wait for that one night, one day, that moment. When you are utterly alone, craving me so badly it hurts. But I will be unattainable, just like air cannot be held in the hand. When you reach the point of no return, the fantasy of me is all that you will have left. Every time you release will be a taste of disgust. Remembrance of how you broke me, of how you hurt me, of how you used me. Shattering my heart in so many pieces. Hot tears will flow down your face and you will say, I am not dear. I will never be dear. I will never be satisfied. For I am that key. And now you will suffer because you no longer have me.